The biggest hack in crypto history is a fact. $1.5 billion in Ethereum got stolen from none other than Bybit, one of the biggest exchanges, I would say, definitely one of the biggest perp exchanges in the world. And in general, if you told me this without me having access to the charts, I would say this is disastrous. This is like FTX level kind of incident, because that's a shitload of money. Let's put it this way. However, the market doesn't look too bad, honestly. And in this video, I want to discuss what I'm seeing pretty much right now. We're not going to comment too much in detail about the actual hack, just a few comments on my side. But I'm seeing some stuff on the charts that I'm eager to share. So let's jump into it. First of all, we got to give a lot of credit to Bybit overall, because like the entire information about this incident as it was happening was very well communicated, very transparent, and also most importantly, I think for the industry, they managed to manage all the withdrawals that were happening. Because if you trade on Bybit and you see this, the first and obvious thing you need to do, or you should have done, is to withdraw your funds, just in case, because you never know what happens. And the entire community stood behind them, and also like other exchanges helped them to manage the outflow of crypto from their exchange. But it seems like everything is under control. I know there like methods in place that they're trying to limit the hackers from dumping all those money onto the market. They're in the process of moving it to Bitcoin through some platforms. They're trying to blacklist the addresses from the exchanges so that they cannot go and sell them. But it's an interesting story in development. However, going back to the charts, stuff is looking pretty decent. And actually, even before going to crypto, I want to start with the S&P, because we've been quite correlated recently. And let me just delete some of these things. And as you can see on the weekly, we had a pretty bad close. Now, why was that? And let me show you first what I mean by a pretty bad close. So we had a test here on the all-time high, and last week looked like we're closing bullish, and this week we wicked above, just about to make new all-time high on a weekly, and then we faked out pretty much. One of the drivers at the end of the day yesterday on Friday was that Trump announced something about tariffs again, but also it's just been very, very choppy here. And this fake out on the all-time high, it doesn't look great. And honestly, if the Bybit thing didn't happen, I would still think crypto would start to dump, because if we go back to Bitcoin, you see that if you go down the 4-hour chart, this candle right here, we were testing like 100k, and finally it looked like maybe we'll start breaking above this consolidation here. And then on the next candle, and this is like when the stock market pretty much opened and price started dumping, this is also what happened to Bitcoin and to the majority of crypto. So I would say the stock market in general is the bigger concern right now, and what's going to happen there in the coming weeks. Maybe it will brush it off like last time about tariffs. Maybe we'll have a prolonged consolidation or a downtrend here in this area on the S&P. We'll see, but Bitcoin is trading very correlated, at least recently. And honestly, even in this section right here, we're at all-time high on S&P, and Bitcoin was struggling a little bit. So if we see downside, it will be interesting to see what will happen to Bitcoin. But as you can see, especially on the day, it's like 1-to-1. Like this is S&P and this is the daily on Bitcoin. So very, very interesting to see this and to know it. Honestly, it's not to my liking, because this means we're trading with TradFi too much. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get a uncorrelation at some point, and maybe we'll get an accelerated trend. Because as I said, with all the things that happened in the last weeks, I would say even, things are looking pretty good. And I've marked out this level for quite some time now, like around 95k. But it seems like price has been respecting it very, very well. I have a long since around 95.5, something like this, somewhere in this area. We had a quick dump, closed back above this level. Then obviously yesterday we had another dump, and now we're again hovering above this level. And I added a little bit more after this candle. So I have a pretty sizable position in Bitcoin right now, and some other outs. But the chart is honestly looking good. It will be interesting to see how the weekly will close, because just yesterday I was commenting that the weekly wasn't looking great. But now, as of today, as I'm recording, it's starting to look decent. It looked like it could break down here, the 95K area. However, now with everything kind of starting to settle with the news and so on, I think it will be really key, the S&P on Monday, Tuesday, and next week in general, to see what's going to happen. But I think 95, if it still keeps holding, I would say that will be a very good scenario for a squeeze into the all-time highs. So the first trouble area here on this chart is around this level. Around it, it depends how you draw it, but you can draw it here. Like if we go on the 4-hour, you can see most of the reactions are around 98. However, pretty much anything below 100K, I would say you can consider as resistance, just because it's a very important emotional level. And we've been talking about this like back here when we dropped below it. I think this is the entire area to watch. Like above 100K, I think things are starting to look even better. And I'm just holding for now. If we start closing below 95, I would just close it and look for something better, lower. Maybe we get a retest and bounce. Maybe we get lower and then get a bearish retest or whatever. We'll have to see this. But for now, my next step is just sit and wait, see if 95 will hold. And then on a breakout here, I'm again just holding to potentially the all-time high. Probably I would treat it as a range until it isn't. But I'll probably start taking profit at all-time highs. And then if there's another setup, I'll see if I want to get into Bitcoin again, or maybe some other positions that I want to expand on. But things are actually looking quite good, honestly. I'm quite impressed how we're handling this, because the severity of the hack is huge. It's 1.5 billion. This is just what I'm going to say again. It's huge. And when it comes to altcoins, there are actually some charts that they're starting to look interesting to me, at least. The most recent positions that I opened is Dissync, and we'll go over Ethereum in a moment as well, but I just wanted to kind of give you why I'm looking into altcoins, and specifically this one. So I traded this, it broke down, had to close for a loss, but now it seems like it's hovering around very similar setup like Bitcoin actually. It of course looking weaker because it lost the range. However, now we're hovering above this level. We have a pretty decent reaction yesterday on the dump, and now we're still somewhere around here. So this is one of the tokens that, as you can see from previous runs, it has full retracement, then another run, full retracement, another run. So I'm betting that if we get another push, maybe also on Ethereum, this will be one of the tokens that will also perform well, like in the past. Plus, it's in the AI narrative, it's on Ethereum, which could be catching some fire. So yeah, I just decided to buy here. My cost is around 0.2 something, somewhere around here. So I'm risking like 10-12% to potentially make around 35 here on the retest of this range. And obviously, if we break above it, sky's the limit. It's not a huge position size, but I actually start to like more and more the setup based on what's happening in the past few days. When it comes to Ethereum, they actually look very similar also to Dissync. We are pretty much consolidating here. The trouble with Ethereum is that it has been underperforming, and for a while now, people have been hating on it. Technically, this should be bearish, the whole hack thing, because the hackers will try to get rid of the Ethereum and cash out. Might not going to be that easy for them, or they might just hodl and see what's going to happen. But technically it should be bearish, and if price is holding up like this, I think that's actually bullish for Ethereum. And it's hard for me to position a trade here, just because the way I look at it is, first of all, I do have a sizable Ethereum position, and some of it is underwater because I bought somewhere in this area before the breakdown. But something in here is like 8% risk to, if we start breaking, if we start losing this little range, to make 13% for the potential retest here, which I'm not a huge fan of. I would rather wait for Bitcoin and invest in Bitcoin because just the risk to reward makes a lot more sense. And we haven't lost the range pretty much. And this one is a little bit tricky. However, such better plays like this thing, as I mentioned, where the risk to reward is, in my opinion, better, and it's directly affecting, it's affected by the ETH price. I think it's a better play in this case, just risk to reward wise, because if Ethereum runs, others will run as well. And in general, it's been so suppressed for weeks already that I wouldn't be surprised that we have a narrative back to Ethereum. Maybe, I'm just hoping for it because it's been already so many, I would say even years waiting for us to something to happen to Ethereum. But now there's kind of indicative things in the market that I'm seeing, and one of them is the bullish price action on the hack. Another one is that Solana as well is kind of losing steam, and with all the pump and dumps that happened from Milei, from obviously Trump, Melania, and you name it. I saw something about Ronaldinho saying that crypto looks good here, so it's starting to get insane. But we kind of lost this level around 180. If we reclaim Solana in this case, if we reclaim, yes, sure, it could be bullish, but I'm starting to think that we might get a shift in the narrative. And from Solana, we move to another chain. Might not be Ethereum, we'll see, but definitely Ethereum is one of the front runners as the bigger crypto. And now that we have the additional narrative of the hack and so on, what I'm more like hopeful of and anticipating is Hyperliquid. This is one of the sizable out positions that I have right now behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this one is like this entire thing, the ecosystem. I think it's a very bullish. It's just waiting for very little catalysts to be extremely bullish. One of them is just break out above this level and maybe start accelerating. The chart's looking super clean, like one of the cleanest charts out there. So if we judge this as a fib extension, potential targets for higher will be like around $40, $42, and maybe even higher. Yes, the valuation will start getting crazy here, but again, my cost average is around somewhere here. But if we start losing this level, I would say it's 12% risk to potentially make 35 to all-time highs, and then another 70 to higher if we go to like 40. And not only this, but there are a lot of pros on trading on this and in general getting involved in the ecosystem. I'm just starting to get involved, but there are a lot of projects that are launching there. There are a lot of tokens that are going to be launched very, very soon. There's one called JPEG that recently got airdropped, or at least is going to get airdropped. There's another one called Time that is also anticipating an airdrop. So there will be a lot of benefits for stakers, which I'm staking, and also a lot of benefits for just getting involved in the ecosystem. And honestly, I can see if we get another leg higher, this could be one of the bigger winners ecosystem wise. And I would definitely suggest for people to take a look at these like things and ecosystems. And if you want, I can share a list of projects to watch. I have it on Twitter marked, and yeah, it's starting to look decent, honestly, and it's one of my higher conviction bets. Other than that, there are a few other trades that I'm eyeing. I'm honestly, I don't know, probably like 20, maybe 25% in cash. So I already sized up, and I'm okay. I can ride if we get higher, but I'm looking maybe to get more exposure into something like Tau. So Tau, what I was looking at is that, let me show you. So low, 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 low. Hop. We have the first higher low here, and then we potentially have, depending how you want to see it, but I think this is a new higher high, and on a retrace here, I think would be a potential good level to enter. And if you just want to play the diagonal here, you can clearly see that we're starting to shift structure, and I'm eyeing an entry potentially somewhere in this area on the retracement around 400, I think would be a good level, or a potential breakout somewhere around 500. I'm also playing this trade with desync because it's also in the same narrative, and when Tao runs, desync also runs as a simple play. So I do have exposure, but I think this will be also not a terrible trade. LTC is another one that's looking quite interesting. It's been very strong, honestly. It's even stronger than Bitcoin. And actually, on Tao, I want to show you the Bitcoin chart is starting to break out on Bitcoin. You can see on the daily, starting to look pretty bullish. Inverse head and shoulders here, and retest here of this area. So this could start easily outperforming, and it has done it in the past. You can see, the big pushes we've had at periods of time, maybe not prolonged bull trend, but still. LTC also looking very strong, even compared to Bitcoin. We're high up in this consolidation and potentially holding this diagonal, and maybe, I have an alert set here for a breakout around 140. We'll see, but this will be more like of a smaller size trade for me, because I just don't like LTC, although it does look very good. This is the weekly, and you can see, also very clean structure here around this area. And the potential here is to get easily to like 200 and even 260, 250. There could be bullish catalysts here, like the ETF and so on. And also it's a Dino coin, and I think it's a US based. Maybe it could catch fire, but just simply looking at the price action, things are looking pretty good. Another one is Eigen. Eigen is like, it's beaten up pretty hard. But if Ethereum catches fire, you could see that even without the drawings here, you see that we've had already some consolidation at pretty much all-time lows. Now first break above like $2, and if we come back and retest it, this is not my favorite setup, but it does make for a good risk to reward. So we got like 16% risk for the high, or at least here the resistance is like 40, 50%, 60% to the upside. But what I would be more interested in is something like Kato, for example. This is a new token, and I actually quite like the price action on newer tokens like this and Bera, and I'll be eyeing other projects that are coming out because they seem to be having good price action. And there's a lot of short interest on this and on Bera, and yet this is usually a recipe for disaster for the bears. What I don't like, and you can tell it by the wick here, what I don't like is that this wick looks like a liquidity grab, and definitely looks like this could start going lower here. So on the short side also, honestly, not terrible, but it's still looking quite bullish. Maybe it's losing some steam. Maybe this was a perfect opportunity to get on the short side. Let me just see on the 1 hour. Yeah, this was a really quick grab. This was like probably on the 15-minute. Yeah, this lasted like 5 minutes, this grab here. This is on KuCoin, but pretty much the same on the others. So I would argue that this could also be a good chart, but it's hard to chart because you gotta risk quite significant amount, at least like 20% to make who knows how many, like 40. I don't think that's that attractive. So maybe if the market is bullish, I would say play this on the bullish side. Maybe a breakout above $2 could be good for Kato if it consolidates here a little bit. And Bear Chain is looking also quite decent. Pretty much all-time high close we had here on the daily. Now we're retracing this powerful move that fucked up a lot of bears, and anything in this area, like come and retest maybe. I'm not sure that if we're turning bullish that this will come and get retested, but even like somewhere around this area, around $6.57, this could be a good moment to size in if we get some more sideways price action. What I would be looking for is something like this, and then maybe some bullishness and then continuation. So something like this to base your risk off here and not down here, because again, the trade doesn't make sense if it's one-to-one risk to reward. And yeah, there are plenty of other tokens, honestly, but this go around, I'm just trying to stay focused on a few. I just gave you some trade ideas, and yeah, guys, if you have any questions, you know how to find me.